Hi, this is Zach Meir with the Bulletin Board Heroes here at Zach's Traders Cafe for Wednesday, the 6th of November. Starting off with the FTSE 100, which has bounced, obviously, off the 200-day moving average that we had that last week, around the 1896 area now, and we're just approaching the 50-day line, 82.65. RSI is pushed above neutral 50, which is good news, especially when combined with an end-of-day close above the 50-day line. The resistance line there from May at 83.30, an end-of-day close through that should hopefully be enough to get us going for a breakout towards the top of the rising trend channel there, 87.30, maybe as a very optimistic sounding end of year target for this market. Remember that the first week of November tends to be the best time of the year to buy stocks, not something that many people will tell you, but if you look back you'll see that, and ideally that goes into January, February in terms of a rally. On the downside, only back below the floor of the overall channel from this time last year, 81.40, really delaying a potential break higher after the consolidation that we've seen for the last 6 months or so. Moving on to the DAX, and here market which has actually been rather better formed than the FTSE of late, but looking for this market to progress again. We had the record highs last month. We've gapped up today, which is perhaps not surprising, and that completes a bear trap island reversal, so we gapped down twice at the end of last month going into this month, so that is one of our favorite setups, and we're looking for the top of the channel there as high as 20,500 by the end of this month, while we remain above that 50-day moving average and the 19,000 area. Moving on to the Dow, which presumably will be excited today in the wake of the Trump victory. And here we were already looking, I suppose, for that Trump victory. We found support at late September, early October lows near 41,800. And while we're above that, looking for this market to retest the best levels ever, 43,300 plus. Top of the channel there, heading for 43,500. Hopefully we get that by the end of this month. On the downside, I suppose the worst case is a move down to the floor of the channel there, 40,400, but given the lay of the land now, that doesn't seem very likely. We're just waiting on a RSI push through the neutral 50 to back up a potential turnaround. Moving on to Bitcoin, which has been the obvious winner overnight with the Trump victory, and you can see we actually finally hit our little June resistance line projection there, right on the nose, 75,000, and looking for further progress, probably waiting a little bit to see how much follow through there is on the sort of the knee-jerk reaction that we've had so far. But at the moment, the initial feeling here would be that we'll head up to the upper 80,000, so 87,000, the upper parallel of that June resistance line, and maybe we'll get that for the end of the year or even sooner. On the downside, we've got that uptrend line from September. That's around 69,500, and hopefully we don't need to go any lower than that. Moving on to gold, and here picture's been strong, but still within that rising trend channel from June, and bouncing off it, I suppose. 27.33 the low yesterday, 27.20 our price channel floor, and above that looking for the top of the channel there, 28.40. Maybe by the end of this month, but looking maybe for that as a conservative end of year target. If we do break down below 27.20, then there's the risk of a move back down towards the 50-day line, and maybe 26.60, 70, something like that. Moving on to the stocks, and rather by stealth, we've seen ARC Minerals hit our target line again. It was a rising trend channel base there at 2.1 pence. The target hit last month and then exceeded this month. Above that, on an end of day close basis, looking for up to 2.7 pence, the upper parallel of that rising trend channel base, and hopefully we can get that by the end of this month. On to Braveheart, which not many people look at. You can see why looking at the chart, but we have managed to break back above the former support there around 4 pence and the 50-day line above 4. Looking for 5 or 6 pence maybe by the end of this month. Punchy call there, I suppose, but maybe Braveheart is up to the challenge. Moving on to Bigblu, which had a rather good move yesterday. You can see that the shares are within a broadening triangle there from the beginning of the year. Top of the triangle there heading for 50 pence, and we're looking for that while we're above the 200-day moving average at 35 pence on a mid-close basis. On to Brave Bison, which I think has been rather quiet of late, but haven't checked the RNSs. Here you can see we bounced off a falling trend channel there from January, the level there around 1.95 pence. Looking for the shares to zigzag up to the top of the channel there, 2.5 pence, maybe by the end of this month. Obviously, we've got to stay above that 1.95 pence level in the meantime. On to Coinsilium and the Aquis market, which obviously retail investors love so much. Here we've got a broadening triangle, and we're helped by the rise in Bitcoin. The shares have historically responded very well to a rise in Bitcoin, above the 50-day line there around 1.8 pence. Looking for the shares to at least head to the top of the recent range around 2.5 pence. Best case is up to 3.8 pence by the end of this month if Bitcoin keeps on rolling higher. Moving on to Corcel, and here, stock which has had a lot of coverage here and deserved it too. Here you can see that we've got this, we've had the shares hitting the top of that broadening triangle base there at 0.02 pence. Above that, we're looking for 0.4 pence as soon as the end of this month. And I'm liking all these positive candles that we've had basically in recent sessions, and that does suggest there's a bit of power and momentum behind the current move. Ideally, we stay on the right side of recent support, 0.17 pence. On to Enwell, which has done what I always like to see and hit a resistance line target. That was the second one there, around 34 pence, after the initial one there at 24 pence. And basically looking for the shares now to retest the best levels of the last 2-3 years up there through the 45 pence level by the end of the year. I suppose the upper parallel of the latest line is heading towards that particular zone anyway. Ideally, we stay on the right side of 30 pence in the meantime. Moving on to Eurasia, which has been a winner as far as being a Trump trade. The shares up 13% today, and the recent consolidation has been relatively strong anyway, but we've gapped up today. Still trying to get through that sticky 2.6, 2.7 pence area, and maybe if you're cautious, you'd be waiting for that to be broken on an end-of-day close basis before assuming that 3.5 pence and a retest of September resistance is on its way. But at least while we're above the 50-day line at 2.2, decent look there for, or a better look there for Eurasia. The best Trump trade obviously has been Ferrexpo, which has been well flagged here and many other places too. The initial target here was the top of the triangle at 64 pence, above 64. We were looking for up to 77 pence, which has also been beaten. The next resistance, obviously you can see from the chart there, the 2024 highs up through 90 pence. But let's see if we can get back above the second target there at 76 pence before assuming 90 pence plus is on its way. Decent RNS today from Georgina, sort of business as usual RNS, and looks as though the shares overshot to the downside below the 8 pence level, and we're within that triangle now from back in August. Initial target here, the 50-day line at 10.5 pence, let's call it. And the best case would be up to the top of that triangle, the red resistance line, at up to 13 pence by hopefully the end of the year or even sooner. But the key here, staying above that line there around 8.5 pence. Going on to Mkango, which has done well of late and comprehensively broken that line of resistance from January. We've been looking for 8 pence, and hopefully we'll get that over the next week or so, while we're above that broken resistance line there at 6.3 pence. Minoan also looking good for the first time in years, I think. Rising 50 and 200-day lines, that suggests that recent resistance there from June around the 0.92 level is a done deal on the upside. And we can look for much higher levels, presumably up towards the main resistance there, 1 to 1.2 pence by the end of the year. The key is holding above that 200-day line, currently around 0.67. Back to the Aquis market with Mendell Helium, and here decent RNS today with the shares responding in kind, up nearly a quarter. Top of the channel there up to 8.25 pence, and we're looking for that while we're above the floor of the channel there at 3 pence, which hopefully will not be too arduous given the latest news. On to Polarean, which I haven't looked at for a long time, and here surprisingly strong above the 50-day moving average. We haven't really been above that properly since this summer, but this occasion it looks as though we are pushing higher in a decent way. Top of that rising trend channel base around 2 pence, so let's look for that by the end of this month while we're above that 50-day line at 1.5 pence. Finishing off with another aqua stock because we love that exchange so much. Here you can see that we've got Sunox Group and a rising trend channel there from back in 2022. Top of the channel there heading for 65 pence, looking for that by the end of the year while we remain above the recent support at 45 pence. Ideally, we stay on the right side of 40 pence, and we're backed by last month's Golden Cross buy signal, which has so far worked well with 3 gaps to the upside since then. So this looks as though it is on its way with its market cap of 55 million, which is quite impressive. That's it for me today. More updates tomorrow.